Have you ever lost something so important that it felt like life had ripped a piece of your heart out? I'm not talking about things. I'm talking about people, moments, myself. Those situations when everything familiar collapses, when something dear slips through your fingers, leaving behind a void that cannot be filled by anything external. And in such moments, this strange feeling arises, as if you have lost not only what was close to you, but also a part of yourself. You become a stranger even to yourself. And today, I want to tell a story, not about miracles, but about loss and return, about how life sometimes unexpectedly gives us back what we have already stopped waiting for.
This happened to someone I've known for a long time. He always seemed to me to be part of some big, complicated mosaic of fate. And then one day, he lost almost everything. The job that gave him meaning, the relationships he believed in, the friends he relied on. At some point, he just stopped. He stopped fighting. It seems that it is precisely when your strength runs out and you are ready to give up, when every day feels like an empty step, that a place for something new appears. Not immediately, and not at all as you expect.
I remember very well how he told me this. "I was just sitting on an old bench in the park," he said, and his eyes flashed with that special sparkle that appears when a person touches something very real. I was watching people running somewhere, thinking that that's where their happiness was. And suddenly, I realized that happiness was never where I was always striving to be. It was always here, in the simple things. He spoke quietly, almost in a whisper, as if afraid of breaking the fragility of this realization. And then the most amazing thing happened. His loss brought him back to himself. He began to try things he had never even considered before. He began to write short stories, notes, even funny stories about everyday life. He began to walk around the city more and notice things that he had previously overlooked. Old windows with peeling paint, a dog waiting for its owner on the same bench, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery. And the more he noticed, the more he understood. Loss had taught him to see. But you know what was even more unexpected? People he thought he'd lost forever started coming back into his life, but in a different role. Friends he'd drifted apart from because of pride or stubbornness suddenly reached out to him. It didn't happen right away, and it definitely wasn't magic. He simply changed, and the world began to reflect those changes. It's so strange and so logical. What we lose sometimes comes back to us not in its former form, but in a more mature, deeper form. I often think about how much we fear loss. We cling to people, habits, and the past as if without them we would cease to exist. I've been through this too. I remember a period when I felt like I had lost everything. The job I loved, the project I had put my heart and soul into. I sat at night and thought that everything had collapsed. But it was in this emptiness that I realized I was looking for answers in the wrong place. And I started taking small steps, without demanding results, just moving forward. It was like coming back to myself. Slow, quiet, but real. And here's what I realized then. When you lose something important, you don't need to try to get everything back right away. You don't need to look for the old ways, the old emotions. It's important to look inside yourself and notice what exactly is changing within you, because it is this process that can lead to something better. Loss is not an end point. It's a door. It's just that it almost always opens from the other side. Another point I want to emphasize is trusting life. Yes, it sounds like a cliche, but it's based on real experience. Sometimes we lose what seemed most important, only to make room for something greater. I saw this in my friend. I saw it in my own steps. Loss does not always destroy. Sometimes it awakens. And here is the climax of this story. He met a person who turned his understanding of happiness and meaning upside down. The meeting was accidental, as if life had decided to give him a gentle wink and say, "See, you don't have to search for everything." They began working together on a project that at first seemed unrealistic, and the result was incredible. But that's not the important part. What is more important is that he realized that the loss was not a punishment, but an invitation to rediscover the world. And here's what comes at the end of this journey. Life isn't about holding on to everything. Life is about the ability to let go, trust, and see the beauty in what comes and goes. We lose and find not only people or opportunities, we lose and find ourselves. And in this eternal movement, there is a depth that makes every moment precious, even if it seems painful at first. I want you to think about this. What if what you have lost now is paving the way for something important? What if loss is not emptiness, but space for growth? Not everything comes quickly. Not everything goes smoothly. Sometimes you have to go through many nights of doubt to understand that true value comes from experience, not results. And when a new encounter or a new understanding finally arrives, it is never just a return to the old. It is always something more, deeper, more honest. Loss and discovery are two sides of the same coin, and there is an amazing harmony in this game of life. Thanks to it, life becomes rich and real. So if you feel empty right now, remember, this is not the end. It's not a cliff. It's an invitation to open your eyes, your heart, and the space around you. Don't rush to bring back the past. Give yourself a chance to see something new. And one day, you will understand. The loss was the beginning of something truly yours. And when this realization comes, you start to smile even in moments when it seems that everything is against you, because now you know. Everything that once disappears can come back, but in a form that makes you stronger, wiser, and more authentic.